Good evening, Seekers. This is Black Probe Vice, and today I am going to combine two subjects into one video. And I tried making a video on this yesterday, and I had issues with the upload, so I'm going to redo the whole thing. But I guess that works out because part of the subject matter is about the importance of guru, and the other part is about the most popular, desired subject matter continuation of discussing black and golden solar symbolism. And when you guys did the polls, it made me really think about kind of what you guys were seeking, which is information about paradigms rather than operational techniques. And it made me really think about what my lecture should be about. Because when I look at the last two videos that I released, it's like 26 and 32 views. I mean, that's basically a college lecture size, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so this many people are viewing things, I should at least be more dedicated to the interests of what the zeitgeist seems to be, what the general trend seems to be, for what people want. So that has me thinking about, what I should talk about in this particular video, and regarding the importance of guru. The importance of guru is, since we're talking about a subject based on energies associated with bioelectromagnetic frequencies, runic frequencies, and other frequencies, including ultimately what I believe is something that has to do with how tangible is something like imagination. Now, part of what the guru is supposed to do is instill faith in his or her students in a way that is causing self-esteem to rise up, to have confidence, because this is not necessarily an easy subject to get good at, and people often get disappointed by early results, which is why I recommend doing certain systems first. Like yeah, you should do energy work first, because if you don't do energy work first, you're not going to have a great deal of confidence when you try to listen for voices and things like that. If that's something you are interested in, you need to do the fundamentals first. If anyone has been serious about going through anything I recommended, Frederick Xavier says, in like episode or lecture 4 or 5, by 4 or 5, that before you really do anything, you need to do the middle pillar ritual for 9 months. And I know you guys haven't done that, and I'm not expecting you to do that. It's only been 3 weeks or so since I made put out the last videos, and that's not the time. But it's like, well, what did you gamers get into? What do you gamers want from high-level magic? You guys want combat magic? Well, then maybe you should fucking spend months every day learning how to do banishings. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, that's part of the advantage of having someone, a teacher or a guru. I want to say there's a difference between being just a teacher and someone who's just a guru. A guru is someone who has various titles in Hinduism about various saints and hermits and ascetics. And a guru essentially is a person who has a realization about self-realization. And he's trying to share this with another person. Now, other types of holy men of various sorts might have self-realizations, but they don't necessarily share, like, this kind of the secrets or things like that with individuals. They just do their own thing. I think one of the terms is rishis, and rishis, it's like they're like windows. They're like windows to the ultimate divine. You can interact with that, and that's really cool. I've never interacted with a rishi, but I've seen enough, people talk about this, documentaries and stuff, that I think that kind of holy man exists. But I'm talking about the spectrum of these entities. And anyone really can develop a level of self-realization, realize they're partial as part of a whole, but then you go back to the ego, ultimately, because this is about free choice. God is an anarchist. What do we do about that? What is that to be like? I mean, even if you, like, when we talk about even Jesus Christ, like, what is Christ really? I mean, Zionism, in the old sense of what Zionism was, not this modern sense, but he was a zealot. And I guess zealotism would be a better term than Zionism. So, zealotism. But even if we look at the, I shouldn't get too much into philosophy in that. But I am going to tie it back into this idea of Jesus and anarchism and quantum mechanics. So, in the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita, there's passages about there are two birds, and one of them eats, another one witnesses. And in the Bhagavad Gita, this is about Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna being the best friend of God is the one who's eating, and God is the witness. And when we go to this concept of quantum similarness with the metaphor of Christ as the Lamb of God, and him being the lamb yet being the shepherd, and how we are lambs, says something about our uniqueness and similarity. And this comes back to we being made in the image of God. And this comes back to the rishis in the sense that there are these humans who, through really rigorous training, and these people who become rishis, they've done extreme things to get to that point where their identity is so destroyed. That's all that is expressed from them is this realness that is from what someone could call the primordial sacredness. You can call it, I guess, the primordial heart, the cosmic mirror, this unadulterated goodness that I guess you could say is personified in this particular form. But as the guru is in a way to demonstrate, to give a sense of to fill faith, to give some confidence to one's faith before they replicate the technique themselves. And I'm sure a lot of people are curious. It's like, well, how can I reconcile magic, the occult, various kinds of spells, magic, with Christ? And there's obviously you have to think about morality. You know, just because, like, even if you do somehow manage to rationalize the existence of magic, the performance of magic, whatever angels would do with the energies beholden to them in this vehicle, whatever they would do, you know, you still have to get into the ethics of, like, there is a, you know, not to cite Rick and Morty, but I'm going to say Rick and Morty when Morty wants his love drug, and Rick basically refers to it as a roofie, and it's like, well, yeah, it is a roofie. What do you think a lot of this roof magic is? You're basically roofing people. Is a love spell really any different than roofing someone, and then that roofing works in the way that you possibly wanted it to? Think about that shit. You should. You know, you gotta be careful. I mean, just because you're doing magic and it's not like you're literally dirtying your hands and risking consequences, doesn't mean that there aren't going to be any sort of consequences. But in terms of operating, I guess when it comes to deities, is what people are really seeking out. Is like, well, how do I reconcile, you know, believing in Jesus Christ, but also believing in, like, I don't know, this Hellenic deity, and I really like this, you know, this Hawaiian goddess, and yada yada yada. Well, first of all, it's called Hinduism, and the Hindus figure this out by making kind of whatever pantheon they want. Now, is there a term for this? Luckily, I have my Vedas, and I have to find it. But there is a term for this, and it's called Katheism. Yeah, and it's spelled Kathenotheism. That is, there is more than one God, but whenever a hymn is addressed to a particular God, that God comes to be ascribed with all the divine qualities. In the course of the hymn, the God in question is regarded as the supreme Godhead, and all the other gods come to be regarded as his manifestations. So, in many ways, not only does that relate to kind of the essence of quantum mechanics, eventually I'm going to be making a book, a spell book, and one of the things I'm going to do is really talk about Christ a lot. And one of the things that's very interesting about Christ is how he came to fulfill multiple traditions to get everyone's attention, which is very interesting. But obviously, the kind of proof. Now, this idea that he had to fulfill multiple traditions, or like coincidentally fulfill multiple traditions in order to demonstrate his truth. Partly with, the Star over Bethlehem getting the attention of 3 astrologers, known as the wise men or the Zoroastrian priests. That was important. And there was other things that happened in his life that been documented, undocumented. But on that documentation thing, it's like, it's, experiencing Christ is a real phenomenon. As one friend says, if you do enough psychedelics, eventually you're gonna experience that. So, as much as some people will definitely blast DMT, which I can't speak for, but definitely peyote, you will eventually have some Jesus trip stuff going on. This is not my experience, but this is someone I trust. The experience, and he said, I'll actually tell the story because I think you guys would appreciate it synchronically. And he did. I have a guy who grows. I know a guy, guildmate. He grows and cultivates peyote, and he eats it a lot. And there's health benefits from purging and stuff and sweating it out. I think at a certain point you don't really throw up as much. You just kind of really get bad sweats and shakes. But anyway. And he wanted a vision, and he said he was at a cave, and before he experienced anything, he was like, oh my god, this is the cave where Jesus was at, like, for 40 days meditating and stuff. And I don't know if that was a different story, but he was in the cave. It was a cave story, and he just sits there in the cave. And my friend, he then turns, like, his vision turns and he sees Christ, and Christ looks at my friend and he says, I know. And that was the end of the vision, and which is very powerful. I know. Now, I told that story because, people have various ideas about what they're going to experience. And the guru, me as a guru, try and instill faith, confidence, and people have to be like, oh yeah, what's going to happen? You could see God doing some crazy stuff that you feel is authentic. And the thing is like, when you have an authentic moment with the divine, you're going to feel it in a way that is unlike any other phenomena. It's different, it's powerful, it's beautiful. The best way I can describe it is it'll probably feel really, really good. It'll kind of make you feel really good to the point you might feel a little uncomfortable, because it's like when I experienced it for one of the first times, I felt uneasy because, well, first of all, my vision changed. Like what I was seeing was very rainbowish. I don't know how to describe it, but very subtle. But I also felt very good, but it felt foreign to me. Like it was like something inside, like the spirit within, or a greater presence within that was like, oh yeah. Like imagine like you're a cup or you're a mold and you're really filled, and it's so filling that it kind of, you're expanding a little bit too into the mold a little bit. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like a good feeling, but it's like, really pressing up against that mold. But you'll get used to it. I mean, this is essentially what the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is advocating. They're basically advocating you're going to be high all the time on self-realization. I mean, that's what they're literally advertising. Those Hare Krishna people, that's what they're trying to do if they're not already there at some level. You know, no one probably fucking ever told you that. I had to tell you that. And it's a spectrum of process, like a spectrum of experience. Some people are really into it. Some people are very light about it. It's kind of like a mania. Have that experience. But I talk about this all relating to Kantiothism, in the sense that when Jesus, as the central figure within the quantum sea of quantum similarity at some level, has all of these different ways of changing his all potentiality into something more unique, like a more specific tool. And that, as you as a ritual doer, has to realize. Like, for instance, when I do candle magic, I'll dedicate, to the deities who have, call upon that, ascribe to Christ. And then, usually do gods of the week, for instance, like relating to a candle that would be done tonight, it would burn until tomorrow, so it would be Venus and Saturn. We want to contact Mercury, maybe secure the communication, with some rune stabs, bind runes, and then do the rest of the coding. And I'll talk more about candle magic in another one, but that wasn't what was popular. You guys wanted me to talk about, how to justify your pantheon with various stuff, and how to tap into this idea of you are a special vehicle that is specifically designed for avatars to also occupy, to function. So you got some high-tech equipment, and essentially part of the ritual process, if you get really good at ceremonial magic and you're dehumanizing yourself, you eventually develop the ability to put on an act where you pretend you're other things. Well, if you realize that you are a vehicle connected to the cosmic mirror. You are a vehicle that is designed to experience this state of being to its optimal form, compared to other vehicles and machines that seem to populate it. That you have the ability to take on these energies, these forms, these identities, through various ritualistic processes. Now, there's other people who, I'm sure there's techniques Crowley and other magicians have. What I recommend, I haven't read them, I have no idea what they do. What I recommend is, you come up with poetry. Come up with a poem dedicate to the entities and say what you want. Is there anything else I need to think of or to say? No, I think I kind of told you. You need to. Some people might be like, that wasn't very good. I wanted more cool techniques. But it's like, you need to read the books I recommended, and then it would make sense when I talk about, being able to impersonate other entities. It makes sense what God did, or he overwrote their, high score, essentially, with his stats, the score. And, yeah, I guess that's really the end of the lecture. I have to look at the other polls, but I will come up with a video soon. And it's about what you guys want to know is where we are, and I've been thinking about that one a lot, and I'm looking. I had to think about what I was going to say in these videos because I didn't want to say too much that relates to those future topics, such as where we are, who we are. But I kind of alluded to about, this, referring to this as vehicle, and how is this really different than nanotechnology? Yeah, so, but as I said, this is about faith, and yeah, I talked a little about operation that can help you, or theory about operation, because you guys want theories and stuff, but rather than tools of the trade. But this is theory that's one of the most important tools of the trade. But you already probably knew it if you're already doing magic. Sometimes you just need to hear someone else say something and be like, yeah, I get it. So, but that's part of what being a guru is. It's like, hey, you're in a vehicle, you're in one of the God vehicles too. And it's like, I'm a God vehicle. Thank you for reminding me. So, that's that. I'll catch you in a few days, Seekers. I hope you have a good, productive full moon. I'm going to be making a lot of enchantments. Maybe I'll make another video about where we are. But that video has been... I might wait a little bit because I've been trying to brainstorm for that. And by delaying and brainstorming it, a topic got a lot better than it was originally intending to be. And because as a guru, I'd rather be positivistic rather than negative and talking about what's possible. And I almost forgot on the subject of what is possible and what is impossible. Kind of talked about some cool stuff before, but in terms of like as a guru, what in a teacher, if I'm going to be learning magic, what should I expect to see as possible? Well, what I've seen is on one occasion swarm of caterpillars spontaneously materialize to attack a tree, consume a tree. Another time, I knew there were spirits in the area, and it was wintertime, so there was a lot of fog every morning. And I knew that the campfire had been used 3 days prior, and it had been really foggy and cold. And 3 days later, there were still embers burning in the fireplace, and I pointed that out, and I said to my friend, That's not normal. The spirits, the entities in this area are literally keeping that fire smoldering. I've seen, I came into this room, and on the floor, I saw something rather this big. It was pitch black, and it crawled into this little crack. Now the problem with this crack is it's so thin that couldn't have been a mouse, couldn't have been a cockroach. Who knows what it could have been, but I saw it and it went under there. And then I cleaned under the bed, didn't find anything. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of what is possible. We're going to learn a lot together, guys. We're going to do a lot together. I'm going to help you guys grow, and I'm going to be here along the way to help you. Good night, Seekers. Love you all.